The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on News Talk 580 KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central Valley. I'm your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio each week here on News Talk 580 KMJ. Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to the crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice, and that's exactly what you will hear every Saturday at 4 a.m. right here on News Talk 580 KMJ. Thanks for joining us. As always, it is so great to have Miss Michelle Pettis-Cavalli here in the studio with us. Michelle, thank you for getting up so early with us.
Well, thanks, Craig, for asking.
Yeah. Did you get your Starbucks this morning?
No.
Yeah. Touchy subject, huh?
Yeah, and I was up late last night. I had some about 10 o'clock last night.
Wow. So did you?
It's kind of backwards, I know.
I was going to say, so did you actually get to sleep?
Not well, but that's okay. That's okay. It's because I was so excited to
about
come in
today's
today.
show. Yeah, I know. Michelle is a licensed realtor and trusted local professional. As always, thanks, Michelle, for being here. You know, Michelle, the beauty of Real Estate Radio Network is that it gives...
Michelle. It's Michelle.
Michelle?
The beauty of Real Estate Radio
Oh,
Network
Michelle.
is Michelle.
I'm talking to you.
Oh, to me, not about me.
No, I'm not talking about you.
Okay, all right. We'll fix that someday. Okay, keep going.
Okay, the beauty of Real Estate Radio Network is that it gives us, you and me, the opportunity to reach so many people efficiently for 1 full hour each and every week. Our goal is to get you, our listeners, not you, Michelle, but you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you back home.
I like that play on words again.
Did you Facebook that last week?
I
You said you were going to?
It was Facebookable, but I did Facebook.
Some other things, didn't you?
I did. I Facebooked our show.
Yeah, I saw that. Good job.
Good times.
Got Johnny in on Facebook as well. Johnny,
you're on Facebook?
No, you got him on our Facebook.
Oh,
You tagged that
the
photo of him.
picture. I'm
Yeah.
like, really? Because I looked for Johnny I wanted to friend him.
He's under a stage name.
Well, he evidently wants to be my acquaintance. He doesn't want to be my friend.
Maybe after the show, you guys need to talk.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. On today's show, we're going to take a closer look at home inspections. Do you have some music? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
No? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's a little scary, those inspections.
Right.
They
What
can
is
be.
a home inspection, and why are they so important? Why are they so important in the home buying process, and how can a home inspection help to protect you as you look for your dream home? Well, we have certified home inspector Jerry Schooley from Perfect Inspections here in the studio to help answer those and many more questions. Jerry, thanks for getting up so early, buddy.
Oh, you're certainly welcome.
Did you go to sleep, or did you just stay up all night in anticipation for No?
No, I couldn't stay up all night. 11 o'clock, it's done.
It's done? Wow, that's 4 hours after my
He
bedtime.
needs more coffee.
Good
That's
job,
all.
buddy.
He just needs more coffee.
Well, make sure you stay with us. If you have any real estate or real estate financing related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, call us anytime at 800-979-3958. You can also check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com. Or, Michelle, you can use press 4 keyword KMJ, call Craig, to get connected to the show. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you for calling Press 4. Please say your keyword now.
KMJ, call Craig. Oh, I broke it.
You have said KMJ call Craig.
Oh, there we go.
No, you got it.
I got it. It just took a minute. I haven't called you in a while.
Yeah, we had a hard time.
You had a hard time.
Refreshing the whole. Oh, and look, you're calling me.
I'm calling you.
You're calling me.
It says
Well,
Michelle
you
calling
said,
Craig.
Yeah, you said
Your
Michelle.
phone's-
You said
all
KMJ
right.
call Craig, so it calls Craig.
Nice. Okay.
Well, you heard us use press 4 keyword KMJ call Craig, and we want to help show you that you will only need one button for the rest of your life. What is press 4? Well, press 4 is for all those times that you're away from your computer, and now you can get exactly what you want with just one simple push of a button on your mobile phone. You're wondering, how do you get press 4, right, Michelle?
How do I get it?
Well, let me tell you.
Tell me more.
That sounded kind of scripted there. Well, if you have an iPhone or Android phone, just go to the App Store to get Press 4. And if you don't own an iPhone, Android phone, Press 4 can still work for you. Just go to the Press 4 website at PRESS, the number 4, that's press4.com, and follow the easy setup instructions. Press 4 will work on any phone, iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, Windows Phone, and even
Dumb phones. You know what I like, though, about that, though? Is,
What's that?
Okay, I just lost my train of thought on the dumb phone. Moving along.
Doesn't exclude any.
Dumb
when you remember that, when that comes
yeah,
back in.
It's going to come back.
Yeah,
I'm
today
sure it
you'll
is.
hear us use Press 4 to help keep you in the know and to pass on all sorts of valuable information. During the show, you're going to hear us say things like, to call into the show, just use Press 4, keyword, KMJ, call Craig, in the example we said earlier. And one button really can do it all.
That's right.
Just like Michelle showed us. Or you will hear us just use Press 4, keyword, KMJ, HUD Homes, and we'll send you more information about HUD Homes right to your phone. Well, in a new feature of our show, let's take a look at today's hot property. The property address is 3366 Twain Avenue in Clovis. It is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,631 square foot home that was appraised recently with an FHA appraisal for $173,000. This property is a HUD home and is located near the major cross streets of Shaw and DeWolf. The bidding deadline is coming up here shortly. Owner-occupants are given priority are given priority during the first 30 days to encourage home ownership.
It's a nice house.
It is a super.
It's a sweet house.
We're
We're going to have some bidding wars, I anticipate.
We've had a ton of information. If you'd like more information about today's hot property, please give us a call at 800-979-3958 or use Press 4 keyword KMJ, hot property. Last week, yeah.
Hot
property, yeah. Emphasis on the hot. It is hot.
Hey, and did we move that property last week? I think it did go,
Yes,
didn't it?
we did. Cougar Lane.
Cougar Lane. The firework haven, capital, whatever of the world. Nice.
Yeah, it did.
Across from Cougar High School.
Clovis
High Cougars.
Clovis High School.
Right on.
Yeah. Well, use Press 4 keyword KMJ hot property, and we'll send more information about this hot property right to your phone. Look for more information about more hot properties each week right here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Now, Michelle, let's take a look at some of the top stories in the news. This particular story was extremely interesting. We were talking about this before the show. The Federal Housing Finance Agency announced this week the first pilot transaction under the Real Estate-Owned Initiative, whereby the federal government will take bids on government-sponsored enterprise REO inventory. That's a lot of big words all strung together.
They like to confuse us.
In short, what that means, it says will take bids on GSE, or what that means, government-sponsored entities, and their inventory, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The agency will take bids on nearly 2,500 properties in Atlanta, that are located in Atlanta, Chicago, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Phoenix, and Florida, all those hotbeds where there is super high foreclosure activity. Pre-qualified investors can submit applications to demonstrate their financial capacity, experience, and specific plans for purchasing pools of Fannie Mae foreclosed properties. Investors must, this is part of the requirements, must rent out the purchased properties for a specified number of years. The agency began the pre-qualification process earlier this month. Now, the FHFA, which is the Federal Housing Finance Agency, first disclosed in December that it had begun to develop new pilot programs to more efficiently unload foreclosed properties held by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Excuse me. The FHFA set off industry-wide discussion in August of 2011 when it announced the REO bulk sales initiative that aims to repair the hardest-hit areas, or the hardest-hit housing markets, by selling off bulk assets meaning large pools of properties that are located within what they determine to be the hardest-hit areas where you see a much higher percentage of foreclosures, which are also very difficult to move. Typically, those are in areas where there's much higher crime, much lower median income. There's usually a combination, an equation there that determines it might be easier to unload these properties as in bulks as opposed to trying to one-off them one at a time. Now, the program's purpose is clear. The national is the purpose. The program's purpose.
Blah, blah. Come on, work with me, baby.
The program's purpose is to clear the national backlog of distressed housing. Fannie Mae holds, this was interesting, 122,000 properties in its current REO inventory.
Wow.
And Freddie Mac has about 60,000, so roughly 2 to 1.
That's a lot.
The agency received more than 4,000 submissions to its request for information sent to the housing industry in August. Now, analysts at Morgan Stanley estimate that the program will create up to $1.8 million jobs, million jobs in the hard-hit construction and real estate industries. The jobs could be created by private capital without the use of taxpayer dollars. I don't know. I don't tend to believe that. I don't know why. It makes me a little leery.
Well, I mean, you're talking management of how many properties in bulk. We don't know exactly the numbers, but you're talking about property managers. You're talking about corrective rehabilitation, I would think, of these
so
properties.
You're picking up a
construction. So realtor
needs rehabilitation.
Yeah. There's some opportunities.
So
there.
So you acquire the property, it needs some rehab. You have a construction company come out, rehab the property, get it into, like, let's say it's going to be rented to Section 8 or what have you. You've got to get it up to snuff to meeting their minimum standards.
Right.
And then on the backside, you have a leasing agent. That
the guy with the bat who goes around and collects rent. No, I'm kidding.
In his Hummer?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding.
But
someone qualified.
That is
like
a salesperson.
Like a real estate agent.
Well, a real estate professional.
Here I come with my cape. No. Who manages the properties, though, for that
Right. Okay,
entity.
so I'm with you. I can see part of that.
Yeah, I'm seeing some cleanup. I'm seeing some home inspections, potentially. See how I pull that in, Jerry?
Yeah,
You
Jerry,
like that?
that's pretty nice.
Jerry'd like to do 122,000 home inspections.
No problem.
He's volunteering.
There you go.
Yeah. No,
So what
I can
is
see
good
some.
about this particular program, at least in the intent, is that it will help to pull that backlog of inventory or some part of it in the hardest hit areas off of, and I don't even want to say off the market because it sounds they're not on the market yet, but it will. They're obviously REOs or foreclosed properties or vacant properties, and whenever you have blighted or vacant properties, it tends to blight the area, and especially in the hardest hit areas, it's really difficult for property values. So now, one question, though, really interesting. At what point, though, is the market going to be saturated with rental properties? It feels like.
Feels like soon. I don't know. Maybe not.
Obviously, we have a much greater need with all the foreclosures that have happened over the last 5 or 6 years. There's a much greater need for folks that can't qualify for financing because with FHA, you've got to be 3 years out. So if you lost a property in 2009, beginning of 2009, you're just getting to the point where you're able to qualify for financing again.
Right.
Or before that.
And
so
maybe it's not an overage of rental properties. Maybe it's we've got to price them affordably. We've got to price them right because we have such a competitive real estate market for those renters.
Well, how many times, you bring up a really good point, how many times is it nowadays that someone's calling and a first-time home buyer and asking the question? I just had one call this past week. Is it cheaper to rent than it is to buy, or vice versa? Well, I gave an example, and the gal was living in Madera, paying $1,200 a month, and was looking at one of our HUD listings in Madera. And I said, well, let me give you an example. And I don't recall exactly what the purchase price was, but I think I started off at $125,000 and said, okay, and your payment would be X, which was about $300 cheaper than what she was paying right at the moment.
Right.
Putting the minimum 3.5% down, and that's with principal and interest, taxes, insurances, and FHA required. Exactly.
Right.
So in that instance, you better believe it was a whole lot cheaper for. And I think where the rental industry has to be very, very careful is at what point are you really forcing people to say, "Hey, listen, we got to really," which we hope that that's the case.
Right.
We really got to get our stuff together because it is way cheaper. It's actually penalizing us, and I say penalizing us. It's all relative. It's a necessity. It's penalizing us. It's $300. Costs us roughly $300 more to rent than we could be buying and in a home that is very, very affordable.
And that's where those investors need to really keep an eye on those ROIs. I mean, what's your return on investment? It's got to make dollars and cents, and you have to have the market for it. You have to.
So, good question. I think it's a great idea. I think the approach is good, especially for the blighted areas where you find a much higher percentage of REOs. Well, after the break, guys, what we're going to do is we are going to be talking about the importance of a home inspection. What is a home inspection? Why are they so important? And how can a home inspection help to protect you as you look for your dream home? Well, we have, again, certified home inspector Jerry Schooley from Perfect Inspections here in the studio to help answer those and many more questions. You're not going to want to miss this. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network here on News Talk 580 KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley White help. Valley White Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free 800-979-3958 and put the seasoned professionals at Valley White Homes to work for you. Valley White Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
As we mentioned before the break, we have Jerry Schooley, certified home inspector and owner of Perfect Inspections, here in the studio with us today. Jerry, thanks so much for getting up, buddy.
Oh, you're perfectly welcome.
I picture Mr. Magoo
What?
when I hear the words home inspection.
Yeah.
Isn't he the one with the little eyeglass, the
No,
spyglass?
not Mr. Magoo.
Who's
It's
that?
Sherlock
Pink
Holmes.
Panther?
Sherlock Holmes?
Oh, Sherlock Holmes.
Oh,
That's who it
wow.
is.
I was going to say Mr.
Yeah.
McGill. No, Dick Backus, wasn't it? He was Mr. He was the millionaire on Gilligan's Island.
Oh, yeah. You're right. You're right. Okay. Sorry, Jerry.
And
I didn't mean to cartoon you up, buddy.
Plus, I think he couldn't see. Wasn't the whole joke about Mr.
Oh,
Magoo?
you're right.
He
He
kept
wandered
walking
aimlessly.
into the street, wandered aimlessly, couldn't see things.
You're right. Okay.
He was blind.
Wow, Jerry.
That would be.
Jerry,
I'm sure
that
a lot
would
of
be-
real estate agents would like me to be that.
No, it's probably most homeowners. Prospective homeowners are feeling that way. So
Yeah,
it's good that
thanks
you.
for the great introduction, Shell.
I'm sorry, Jerry.
Jerry's like, yeah.
I've seen Jerry at work. He's far more comprehensive than
You know, Jerry, it's interesting that you bring that up. You make that comment. You are not a deal killer. That's the important thing. And I take offense at this for you. And sorry for I'm already off topic because I'm getting fired up. is I've heard on multiple instances where I'm talking with an agent, and their comment is that darned home inspector. Well, the moment that I hear that, I'm thinking, well, whose side are you on anyway? Are you, is it the listing agent that is complaining about the home inspector because brought to light all these potential issues that are going to end up affecting your pocketbook if you continue to strap this transaction on and close on this transaction? Real quick, you're not a deal killer, right?
No, never. I work for the buyer, and
Pure and simple.
he's the one that's he or she is the one that's paying me, and I'm working for them, and they're the ones that need to know what's going on.
Exactly. You are an advocate for the actual buyer to
Yes.
ensure that they are in the loop and they are in the know in terms of this particular property that they're wanting to purchase. So real quickly, kind of in short, tell me real quick, or tell our listeners, what is a home inspection?
Well, basically, a home inspection is a detailed investigation of the house, which includes every mechanical, every electrical outlet, lighting, attics, unfortunately, crawl spaces, and everything in between. And it's
If it can be inspected, you can
I'm going to look
inspect
at it.
You're going to look at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So what type of properties can you inspect? Is it just single-family residences, or is it any property?
Any property. I do obviously residential. I do light commercial, which would include small strip malls, medical offices, things like that. No high rises or anything in that nature because it's out of my league.
It's also out of our community. We don't have a lot.
Yeah, we don't have a lot.
Yeah.
Most stuff single story. There's 4 buildings that are.
I'm teasing.
Yeah. And I do quite a bit of multifamily.
Gotcha. Now, how, in your estimation, and this is kind of a loaded question, how important is it in your estimation? And Michelle, I'm going to come back to you in a second.
I'm
and ask
waiting.
You, that,
You hear me? I got guns.
You're perched. You're ready to jump.
Cocked and loaded.
Yeah. How important is it in your estimation, and not because you're just the owner of the business and you're certified to do this? How important, as an advocate for the buyer, is it to get a home inspection?
Well, like you were talking earlier, with all the foreclosures and bank-owned properties, that in many cases the bank or someone is not going to do anything to the property.
As is.
It is very important to have it done because you, as the buyer, you don't know what you're looking for, and this is something that I've been doing for basically over 30 years.
So do you find in any instance where a buyer passes on a home inspection, in other words, for whatever reason, says, and granted, you're probably the one that doesn't know, but Shell, do you see in any instance or in some instances where buyers are passing on home inspections?
The only time I've ever seen buyers pass on home inspections is new construction.
Gotcha.
My clients, if I work with them, they get a home inspection. I'm just telling you. I mean, they're advised to get a home inspection, and I don't think I've ever had anyone say, no, I don't want one, after I recommend it.
And like you had mentioned, I don't know if it was last week's show or the week before, you said for every client, for their protection, get a home inspection. But
For
you also
my
said,
protection,
for your
I
protection,
have them get a home inspection.
Get a home inspection.
Well, because there's liability involved for the agent if you don't recommend it. But I'm going to tell you straight up, I mean, Jerry and I had the opportunity to talk about a property just this last week that he inspected. Client is buying in a good neighborhood where his daughter goes to school, and we have found a property that has some deficiencies. It's got a broken, sliding glass door.
Just a few.
But really, everything, with the exception of a couple doors, is aesthetic. Everything in that property. So we have Jerry go out, and the client's asking me, should I do that? Yeah, we absolutely. Again, foreclosed property, bank owned. We don't know what's going on in this property before we've seen it.
Sure.
It's aesthetic. We get an accepted offer. We send Jerry out there, and there's something going on in the attic we knew nothing about.
Exactly. Once the envelope's open, you figure out that there's something.
Because everything else was aesthetic. But we need to know.
And that which you're talking about is the heating element or the heating unit up in the attic had been tampered with, or something. What was the situation?
There was the panels were off. The service panels were off. The gas was disconnected from the unit. And
they were in the process of inspecting it. Right?
Well, I think they might have been waiting to pull some wires out or something, maybe go get some money for it. But
sure.
It was definitely not working. And at that point, we have an HVAC contractor called out to inspect it and see what the problems are.
Exactly what the detail is.
Right, and it's not a deal breaker. But it's something the client needs to know.
Certainly.
It could have been a hazard if, nonetheless.
Yeah, the
we
last
need to make
property
sure
quick story, last property that I actually noticed had the same problem was, took the client in, walked into the master suite, and saw that there was, this was a vacant REO, or actually it was a vacant short sale, excuse me. Saw that there was attic insulation on the floor of the, on the carpet in the master closet. Thought, looked up into the attic, and the attic access has been removed. I'm thinking, okay, that's not a good thing. So please make a note of it. It's on your little checklist.
Right.
So I walk out in the backyard, and sure enough, the cooling unit, the compressor and everything had been
gone.
Yeah, I'm like, I tell my client, I think we've got a problem here.
Yep.
And it was gone. And what had happened was I called the listing agent, and sure enough, she had an HVAC person go out and inspect the property. And yes, they had removed everything. Heating and cooling completely gone.
So we have ducts.
So you have ducts. That's insulation.
It. Okay. All right.
And
But-
hopefully lots of blankets at that point. Because
I have seen worse.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
sure.
We all
I'm
have.
sure. I'm sure. So I would say, my guess would be, if I'm not putting words in your mouths, but wouldn't you say for both of you, it's extremely important for there to be informed consent
Yes.
as far as a buyer is concerned. And Jerry, just to touch on something that Michelle said earlier, is that you had said even on some new construction, important to get a home inspection as well, correct?
Yes. Usually they're done at the end of the contractor's standard warranty period, and that's just to go in and see if there's any issues at that point.
Okay, when you say that, are you talking about their year warranty time
Yes.
frame? I
Yes.
see.
Within that year warranty, usually at the end of it.
I see.
Gotcha.
Okay, so not upon possession necessarily. Oh,
No.
okay. That's
Gotcha.
interesting. I've not heard that before.
Now, Jerry, touch on some of the things that you think are important for our listeners in terms of those in choosing a home inspector. What are some of the things that you need to make sure that you look at when it comes time for choosing a home inspector? Because, and we were talking about this before we came on the air, is that not every single home inspector is created equal.
Yeah, Craig,
I'm being-
you could actually go hang your shingle today and call yourself a home inspector, too.
I'm going to leave that up to the experts, buddy, just so you know.
Yeah, there is no license required by the state in California, which is highly unusual. But at this point, there isn't, and the reason that I've been told that they don't is there haven't been enough complaints.
Really?
Yeah, so there is no license required by the state, but normally what an agent will look for is what kind of association you're a member of. And there's many associations out there, but in my process of looking at them, I chose International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. It's called INTERNACHI for short. They are the largest association for home inspectors in the world, and that isn't the reason that I picked them. But the reason is they do have requirements to be a member, and which is continuing education every year, or you don't continue your membership.
Sure.
So that is the one thing that that most agents would look for, that along with insurance and things like that.
Certainly.
So with those continuing education, is it on construction? What's going on in the marketplace? Tell me a little more about what their required courses might look like.
Just courses on roofing, plumbing, electrical,
Okay.
just to keep updated on all of the things that you already know. But then, of course, every year they come up with new things that they find. And, in the past, you've come up with
Like
GFI
Chinese
switches.
drywall. Chinese drywall might be
That
something
stuff.
that,
Yeah, and just a lot of things that come about as time goes on that they improve on, and we need to know about those things.
Absolutely.
So when you talk about earlier, you mentioned the type of report that they generate. What do you think is the appropriate type of report? It's not just something scribbled on a yellow pad that you give to the client.
Well, that is some of them.
You've seen those, huh?
Yes, I have.
wow.
But when I got into the business and looked at the different reports that were out there, I wanted something that somebody could really take and put away and be able to review it later. And mine is what you call a narrative report, and it includes a lot of information, not just about the particular house that you're inspecting, but general items, and then also includes a lot of pictures.
I was going to say that the report on that specific house we were discussing was some aesthetic issues. 44 pages.
Well, a lot of people don't like that, but
it was perfect, though.
Do you have a report for folks with ADHD that like just pictures and maybe two or three words?
About me.
No,
I do.
You resemble that
I do
remark?
have
Is
a
that what
short-
you're trying to say?
I do have a short version for agents.
Oh!
Wowzers, the abridged.
No, it's just of the
A
problems.
summation,
Yeah.
shall we call it?
A summary report.
I actually, the client that we're discussing, Craig has met the client. The client was very, very pleased. And we were able to go through and look. And it actually went into much more detail. I mean, when you walk one of these houses, I mean, you're taking notes as you go, But to have pictures and informational available, because really, truly, this client is doing a 203, which is a rehab financing. I mean, truly, he could take your report and probably get estimates based on your pictures and information. I think it's great. It's comprehensive. But the client was very much appreciative because he's not Mr. Fix-It, and he's walking into a situation where it's a little uncomfortable.
Well, other than the aesthetics, and you walk in with your significant other, and you say, well, gee, honey, I'd like that wall to be, I'd like to do something more of a neutral palette, and I'd like to change the floor covering and this and that. Other than the aesthetics, or what we call, or what I call, not what you call, Michelle, what I call the gingerbread. In other words, just the shutters.
Yeah.
Other than that kind of stuff, if you don't do this every single day, and I do this every single day, and I'm not a home inspector.
Right.
I can tell you when there's a crack in a slider, nice and easy.
But at the same token, the functionality. You're not checking outlets. Jerry's checking the outlets.
Yep.
I mean, if we've got electrical issues, I mean, that's potential fire in the future, et cetera. I mean, there's a lot of.
Jerry
I don't want to be responsible for that.
That whole wall on that side of the house doesn't work as far as the outlets are
I
concerned.
need to know.
And I'm sure you've seen it happen.
Yes.
So, quick question, and I'll ask Jerry first. So, when to get a home inspection? You talked about new construction after the property's been completed, and typically at the end of the warranty period. But on resale, whether it's an REO, whether it's a traditional sale, whether it is a short sale, when to get? When is your recommendation? When should you get a home inspection?
Well, typically I get a call saying, hey, I need it done tomorrow.
Good planning, right?
Yeah.
Craig, do you resemble that remark?
No. I told Jerry on the way up here, by the way, I've got a home inspection for you, and I'm waiting for the fully ratified. No. I'm waiting for the fully ratified purchase contract. As soon as we get it, I'm going to pull the trigger on the home inspection.
Good.
And that's usually when it's done. Is once it's been escrow's been signed and ready to go, and then I'm called. How
many times do you see in today's market? Granted, and I've got some statistics here a little bit buried a little bit later here in the show, but how often do you see now where prior to a sale, a homeowner is actually, because to me that seems like kind of a respectable thing to do as a homeowner. If it's a traditional sale and you're wanting to sell a property, that you get a home inspection up front so that you're able to show the potential buyer, or any potential buyer, or their agents that represent them, here is the home inspection that's been completed. How often do you see that happening, or do you see that happening, or is it usually just a trigger that comes once you get into contract?
Well, as far as the sellers go, you don't get too many of those.
Really?
Yeah, you don't get too many of those. I've had some programs and some marketing ideas in that category, but haven't made much progress in that area for the sellers.
Yeah.
But it is a great idea. I mean, to have it already done, and not only does it fend off a lot of things, but if you have another inspector come in at the last minute and finds a bunch of stuff, then you're stalling your escrow, everything's being put off, and you could even lose the deal because of it.
Certainly.
So they are a very good idea, and what it does is it allows the seller to not only know what it is that they're going to need to fix, but it gives them time to get it done without having to hurry and not being able to get bids and things like that.
It
so
also
it
helps,
cost them more.
As long as there's no larceny in the transaction, it helps to display the confidence of the seller in terms of their property that they're selling. And I think that's a great selling point. So agents, take heed. I think it's extremely important. If you do have a traditional sale, recommend to get a home inspection. Now, if the buyer wants to go out and get their own home inspection, that's fine.
Right.
And then let's get together and compare the reports, granted. And if there are items of concern, then we can address them at that point. In other words, if there's bones of contention, like we always say. Well, I tell you what, if you have any real estate or real estate financing related questions, or questions regarding the information that we're sharing with you today with Jerry Schooley from Perfect Inspections, we'd love to hear from you. Call us anytime at 800-979-3958, or check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com, or just use press 4 keyword. Michelle?
Oh, sorry. KMJ, call Craig.
Yeah,
I was looking at my future notes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
After the break, she's trying to get prepared.
I'm
Good girl.
trying.
After the break, we're going to continue our conversation with Jerry Schooley from Perfect Home Inspections. Stay right here. You're not going to want to miss this. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network here on News Talk 580 KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valleywide Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valleywide Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at reofresnohomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals at Valleywide Homes to work for you.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
We've been talking with Jerry Schooley, certified home inspector and owner of Perfect Inspections here in Fresno. I want to continue this conversation about home inspections because I tell you what, there's probably looking for the property. That's the fun part. Finding the property, that's still part of the fun part. Getting the home inspection completed is the beginning of the serious part of this particular transaction. Now, Michelle, let me ask you a question.
This is what I was trying to prepare for.
This is what you were.
This is it.
Was this your moment?
I feel like I'm in the hot seat now.
Who can pay for a home inspection?
Well, you can, Greg.
I'm not. Wow.
No, buyers or sellers.
Okay.
Or both.
Or
they
both.
can share the cost.
Gotcha.
Generally, in this market, we see buyers pay for them.
Gotcha. So we are going to see things that are customary for the market in terms of, and the market does ebb and flow. So what's customary today may not be customary 6 months, a year, 5 years down the road.
And I think that's what Jerry mentioned. Sellers generally do not call for home inspections.
Correct.
Buyers do. We want to ensure that what we're buying is represented clearly.
So just so you know, Jerry, I'm trying to create a niche for you as far as marketing sellers that want to sell their.
I have a whole program for it. I've even got signs that go in the yard.
I love it. Oh, like signs that go in the yard saying this property's been inspected. Smart.
Yes.
Smart man. I think there's value there. I really, really do. Because like I said before the break, I think it helps to show confidence in what I'm selling. I've got nothing to hide.
Well, and I was mentioning it's no different than an appraisal. An appraisal tells me the value of the property. You're telling me the quality of the property. And I think that's important. That those are checks and balances that we should be recommending as agents to our clients.
Totally agree.
Like, it's a requirement for an appraisal. It's not always a requirement for a inspection.
Correct.
So, that's our job.
It is totally up to the buyer whether the buyer chooses to have a home inspection. It's up to their agent that's representing them, the selling agent, to encourage them to have a home inspection.
I think that may change in the future.
You think so?
It may be required because we do bring up a lot, and the lenders know that.
Of deficiencies?
And,
Well, we're even seeing, with some of the financing, especially on the flip properties, we're seeing that the home inspection, let me get this right, if the property has been on the market for less than 90 days and goes into contract, and let's say you're utilizing FHA financing, you require an FHA appraisal by a certified FHA appraiser. And if the appreciation or the difference between the investor's acquisition, doesn't matter whether there's been repairs, but investor's acquisition and the final sales price is in excess of 120%. So if you bought it for 100, you rehab it, and you're selling it for 120 or more, then it requires a second conventional appraisal by an FHA certified appraiser, as well as a home inspection.
That's right.
And what the underwriters are doing is they're comparing all three. They're comparing the deviation, if there is any, between the valuation of the two reports, the two appraisal reports. They're also looking at, the home inspection and requiring some of the repairs, or if it might be deferred maintenance or whatever it is, they're requiring some of those repairs that may not have been called out by either of the appraisal reports. And
correct.
the seller's having to fix those issues and address those. So I totally get what you're saying there. Now, Michelle, how long does a buyer have to get a home inspection in California?
17 days in California per our contracts, per the state's contracts.
state.
Now, in this market, there's some variance to that. So it's going to depend on the seller as far as
So who
if
the
it's an
seller is.
institution,
Okay.
right? If it's B of A or Fannie Mae, you're going to see different requirements
Certainly.
there from
Somewhere
California's
between-
requirements.
Somewhere between how many days?
Could be 7 to 10, depending on the institution.
Depending upon who the seller is. Yeah. So, Jerry, that's why you're getting the phone call.
Yeah, yesterday, Jerry,
Hey,
can you do it
we need a
yesterday?
home inspection, Jerry, and can you get out there tomorrow morning? Or how about this afternoon?
Well,
at 4?
let's make it clear.
Could you do it tonight?
Yeah, the 7 to 10 days and the 17 days that we're discussing is the only time on that contract that buyer has to change their mind. Let's be very clear,
Right.
based
to
on
have
what's
an out
found.
based upon the condition of the
Right.
property.
So it's key.
And with so many REOs and short sales in today's marketplace, how important is it to know what you're getting into? Well, in Fresno County, I pulled some statistics and I pulled this this week, and you can pull these any day. They fluctuate on a daily basis based upon the number of properties that come on the market, and that go off the market or go pending or go back up. 1,751 total listings in Fresno County, and that's any property
Active
type.
or-
Active listings in Fresno County. Of those, 463 were short sales. Huge number.
Over a third.
Huge number.
Or just under a third.
296 of that 1,751 were REOs or foreclosures or real estate owned property. Total 759. Now that short sales and REOs accounts for 43% of all active listings. Short sales and REOs.
Right.
So what does that tell you as far as REOs concerned, short sales are concerned? The perception as far as a listing agent with a short sale is seller's not going to do any work.
Right.
Bottom line, let the buyer beware. Now, and I don't want to say even worse, but to a greater extent, with an REO, there are limited disclosures on every single foreclosure. So when it comes right down to it, it is so important that you get someone like Jerry that's certified and involved in the process to make sure that there is informed consent,
Well,
that you
absolutely.
know exactly what you're getting into within the time frames that you just stated, 7 to 10 days.
7
depending upon-
days to do what you need to do is
Yeah.
not a lot of time.
Well, and depending upon, there may be multiple inspections that have to actually
Right.
go down. Jerry, we talked before the show. You need to make sure that you've got power, gas, and water. That's all got to be on for you to ensure that because otherwise, most systems you're not able to check if, let's say, the power's not on. You're kind of doing a looking around, taking photos. I mean, you need the power to be on in order.
Well,
to...
not only the power and water and everything need to be on, but all of the mechanical systems that use gas need to be lit. So water heaters and so forth, stoves, things like that need to be lit so that when I go in, all I have to do is turn them on, test them, and just make sure that they're functioning.
Gotcha.
And I find that a lot is, they'll say the gas is on, but I'll get out there and the water heater is not
Cold.
lit. If the gas knob is off, same with other appliances,
I see.
and I can't. I'm not allowed to go and turn those on and start them and get them working.
Because
That's
doing that means that you're going to be assuming some liability for actually turning those systems on.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
One of the other.
Now you do.
Now you
I honestly didn't know that he couldn't do that.
You also find that with appraisers as well.
Sure.
Appraisers do not want to
Now
take
that
on
I
that
knew.
responsibility.
Right.
The same thing goes for the home inspector. Some commonality there.
Well, and let's think about it. You got 7 days to get these inspections done. The inspector goes out; those things aren't on. You have to address that.
Tick-tock,
it's
tick-tock.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your clock is
Yep.
ticking.
One of the other reports that I want to make sure that I bring up here is a termite report. A termite report along with a home inspection, because a termite inspection is not an area that you cover, correct, Jerry?
That is correct.
Okay, so a termite company or a pest control company is going to come out. That can be arranged by the selling agent, is going to come out and do a top-to-bottom inspection of the property. They're going to look for active infestation, so any area that they believe, and typically with older properties or properties that have a lot of wood on them, that's very, very common. up to including tenting the
Right.
entire, fence as well, but up to including possibly having to tent the entire place, which can be quite expensive.
Well, and let's be clear though. Just because a home has had signs of termites does not mean
that it's
run
active.
out in the street with your hands in the air and give up on the transaction. Let's be
Does
clear.
not mean active infestation.
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, having that inspection is key. I know that the inspection on the same residence we were discussing, there was some termite activity that had gone on in the fence. Now the fence isn't necessarily on your report, but a good agent tries to at least touch base with their inspectors to know that. I mean,
Sure.
they let us know that, and we're able to address it. And again, it's knowing what you're getting into. You don't want to get into something and then have all these things coming at you after the fact.
So you get into contract, you have 7 to 10 to 17 days, depending upon the type of contract, who the seller is.
Right.
And then, once you've got both of these inspections completed, then, Michelle, what do you do?
It's time to fund that loan and get that appraisal going. Let's get that appraiser out there. We're done. Ding,
So
ding, ding, ding.
at that point, is that enough in terms of ensuring that your client is educated as far as the process is concerned, as far as the collateral, as far as the home is concerned? You've got the home inspection completed. You've got the termite report done. Yes, you have to order the appraisal, but at that point, it's extremely important to cover those two reports with your
Right,
client
absolutely.
to determine whether they want to proceed based upon the findings.
Exactly. Is there deficiencies that are not, that the price point has not taken into account?
Right.
Is there
right.
something there we need to go back to the negotiation table with that listing agent or
Certainly.
company? Because, we were very well aware of the deficiencies in the property that we dealt with the other day. However, Jerry brought one up that's going to cost us $1,200, to replace
Sure.
and make sure. Now, is the buyer comfortable with that? Is that too much of a cost for them to say, ooh, I didn't expect that. I'm not sure I'm okay with that.
And what you just said is, based upon the cost of the repair, is it a situation that has been taken into consideration as far as the price point
Right.
of the property? Meaning that it's priced based upon condition of the property, or based upon the price reflects any of the potential shortcomings with the property. Hey,
Right.
we know that this is missing, this is missing.
Right.
And I think in that situation, you'd even mention to me, the listing agent saying, this has got to be a 203K loan because we've got some issues,
Right.
we've got some rough edges. So they must have known, based upon their inspections,
Something was up.
something was up.
Right.
Something's missing. So at that point in the transaction, if the repairs or if the issues with the collateral are too egregious, are too serious, it's just going to cost way too much money. And the property is not priced to take that into consideration, and maybe doing, and at that point, the seller isn't willing to budge on price. The buyer can
Walk away
walk away,
and get their deposit back
certainly.
because of the deficiencies. If
Gotcha.
there are true deficiencies,
And
that
it's
affect it.
extremely important to know that's why it's so important to stay within your contingency periods as far as your inspection contingencies, because you've only got so much time to complete those inspections to ensure that you're informed, because anything outside of those time frames, if you are outside of those time frames,
You're stuck like Chuck.
You're stuck like Chuck. That, in other words, canceling for that particular reason is not necessarily a good enough of a reason. Now,
Right.
Jerry, kind of give us a range. What does typically a normal home inspection cost?
Well, mine are based on square footage. Others base them differently, but I do it on a per square foot basis.
Okay.
And but 90% of all my inspections are around the 275 to 300 range.
Gotcha. So it's pretty doggone affordable as far as peace of mind's concerned.
Well, yeah, I mean, to spend $300 on a $150,000 to $200,000 transaction is nothing to determine whether it's going to be a good deal or not.
Money well worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Money well worth it, that's for sure. Now, so Michelle, with a termite report or a termite inspection,
Right.
What is the typical range that you would see as far as termite inspections are
For an
concerned?
inspection, you're looking at $75 to $150 for them to inspect the entire property.
So for easily under $500, this does not include the appraisal inspection, so home inspection and termite report, easily under $500, you're able to pretty much have a good rundown, all systems, any potential active infestation, any potential dry rot, mold, anything along those lines, covered within the contents of
Right.
both of those reports. And enough information sufficient to make a decision, an educated decision at that point. Do we need to proceed, or is there just is this just too big? I don't want to strap this cross onto my bag. This is just way too much. Now, Jerry, one of the things that I think it's extremely important to bring up is, let's be clear with a home inspection. It exposes existing problems as far as systems are concerned, but you don't make any representations as far as potential future problems. You might say, that particular air conditioning unit up there, it's been with us since the property was built. And you may want to have an HVAC person come out and inspect it or service it to make sure. But talk to me talk to us about a little greater detail as far as what that entails.
Well, we will evaluate the systems, the water heaters, the heating air conditioning systems, all kitchen appliances and things like that. But, of course, we can't say that this has an existent life of, let's say for a roof, for example. If it's in its primary stages of deterioration, that's basically what we'll say. And based on certain, things that we see on the roof.
Is that the same thing as near the end of its economic life?
You might say that, or ready to leak. But no, we don't make any determinations on future existence of it. That would be more for the specialist, which is a roofer or a certain person that is specific on those items.
So any system that a home inspection doesn't cover, there are certain inspectors that we could also come out to inspect certain systems that may not be covered under a general home inspection.
Well, a general home inspection is exactly that. It's a visual inspection of the property.
Gotcha.
We don't dig in walls. We don't lift insulation. We don't do anything like that. It's a complete visual inspection. And from that, if we see something that is obvious or that is a potential hazard or problem, then we recommend that particular specialist come in and evaluate it in detail.
Gotcha.
So he's like the umbrella over. And then we call the roofer guy out and say, hey, how much is it going to cost? Jerry says we're going to probably need a new roof here soon. And I like that. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's like he's bringing the red flags out so my client doesn't get into a mess.
Do you actually have red flags that you carry with you?
No, Craig.
He looks more like a checker flag kind of guy.
I know for a fact he's a checker flag kind of guy. I've seen the bikes that he builds.
That's awesome.
So now, Michelle, if a home inspection uncovers some items that are of concern as far as the buyer's concerned, is there any way that the buyer can protect themselves against something potentially failing if they choose to proceed?
Agents recommend a home warranty.
Gotcha.
And
so for our listeners, what exactly is a home warranty?
A home warranty is a policy that takes into consideration that you're purchasing a used property. Generally, new construction has a home warranty the builder provides, but you can purchase one for new construction as well. But a home warranty can actually cover a hot tub. It can cover your stove. It can cover those elements that may have operating systems that we're uncertain of. And for years, generally speaking, most of the home warranty companies will actually mail you additional information when your warranty is about to expire, saying, do you want to extend it?
Years,
yeah. And
best email database they've got.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or mail database. Huh?
Really, when you think about it, because your home insurance covers if you have a fire and the house burns down. Generally speaking, there's not a lot out there. If the stove breaks, the stove breaks, and you're stuck
with
like
a home warranty. So it is insurance that you pay an annual premium for. You can renew it annually to help protect you with a deductible. Right. I understand with a deductible.
With most items, it's going to have a deductible.
Most systems, as far as the house is concerned.
But you're looking at a $400 insurance policy to cover your stove, your heater, your air conditioning, your hot tub. Generally speaking, it goes into specifics on some of those items. Money well spent,
and peace of mind that you can actually spend $400 to protect yourself.
Yeah, I don't know about you.
Something fails.
I live in the valley at 110 in the summertime. If my air conditioner goes out,
you're not a happy girl,
hoping
are
they
you?
fix it real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and it does that, so I think that's great.
It does. Well, if you do have any real estate or real estate financing related questions or questions regarding the information that we are covering here on the show, or you'd like to get in touch with Jerry Schooley, certified home inspector with Perfect Inspections here in Fresno, please call us at 800-979-3958. We'll put you in contact with Jerry. Or you can check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com, or just use press 4 keyword, that was my announcer voice right there,
KMJ, call Craig.
to call into the show.
Love it.
It'll call right, just like what you did earlier. It'll call me.
Call your hip.
If that's where I've got my phone, yes, it will.
We all want to be attached to your hip. Wowzers.
Well, I tell you what, Jerry, thank you so much for coming into the studio with us today. Really, really appreciate you getting up so early. I know it was kind of a stretch.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I think Starbucks is open. My treat.
You are such a
I think
sweetheart.
they're opening now.
We're there.
So, Jerry, you'll go anywhere to get a home inspection done. Is that correct?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
As long as the airfare's included.
Yeah.
If you want to make sure that you're informed in the home buying process, make sure that you give us a call, 800-979-3958, or check out our resources online, or press 4 keyword, KMJ, call Craig, and we'll put you in contact with Jerry. Thanks again, Jerry, for getting up so early with us, and a big thank you to Michelle Pettis-Cavalli, my special guest host, for joining us today.
Anytime. You're just saying that, though. You really just want the coffee, don't I?
I am not just saying that. But it is kind of a perk. No play on, no pun
Words.
intended. Yeah. And always a big thank you to Johnny B, the voice behind the mics. Johnny, he makes us sound so good. So good.
Somebody asked
Remember,
her.
our goal is to get you the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you back home. Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Saturday at 4 a.m. on News Talk 580 KMJ. Make it a great day, Central Valley, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.